At 7:10 a.m. on June 4, 1942, a B-26 Marauder came screaming straight at the bow of Akagi, flagship of the Japanese First Air Fleet, flying so low, her props were kicking spray off the Pacific. Inside that cockpit, 23-year-old First Lieutenant James Murray had both hands locked on the yoke, eyes full of tracer fire and a steel wall of carrier deck rushing toward him at 280 miles an hour. Behind him, his bomber was shredded. One engine smoking, hydraulics shot out, 3 gunners bleeding in the back. Ahead of him, 860 feet of Japanese flight deck loaded with aircraft, fuel, and every anti-aircraft gun that mattered in the Pacific War. An hour earlier, nobody expected a B-26 to be here. The Marauder was a problem child even in training. High landing speed, tiny wings, nasty stall habits. Crews called it the Widowmaker, and some refused to fly it. It was designed to bomb from altitude, not drag a 2,000-pound torpedo at wave-top height into the teeth of the most powerful carrier force Japan had ever put to sea. But Midway had a problem. 4 Japanese carriers, Akagi, Kaga, Soryu, Hiryu, were closing in with 300 aircraft aboard, the same air groups that hit Pearl Harbor. Navy torpedo squadrons were already dying by the dozen trying to get hits. Somebody decided the Army's flying coffins would try next. 4 B-26s launched from Midway just after dawn, each with a single torpedo slung under the belly, and crews who had, between them, maybe an hour and a half of torpedo training. Murray's ship, nicknamed Susie Q after his wife Alice, flew in behind Captain Jim Collins's lead B-26, skimming in at 200 feet over the Pacific, as Zeros clawed down from 12,000 feet. 30 fighters versus 4 bombers. The math was ugly, and everyone on board knew it. As they closed, the sky in front of them turned into a furnace. Akagi's 25mm guns and the heavy batteries from her, escorting cruisers and destroyers, built a moving wall of black bursts and orange tracers. Murray took Susie Q lower, 150 feet, then 100, then 50, so low that salt spray streaked the glass. His bombardier yelled out the range to Akagi's bow. 3,000 yards, 2,000, 1,000. At 800 yards, the torpedo finally dropped. The B-26 lurched upward, suddenly lighter, and instantly became the single most important target in the Japanese fleet. Every gun on Akagi swung to track the departing bomber. Shells smashed through both wings, through the tail, through the fuselage. Something detonated behind the cockpit and smoke flooded the radio compartment. Any sane pilot would have broken away, shown the enemy his tail, tried to claw altitude and hope for a miracle. Murray did the opposite. He shoved the yoke left and dove straight at the carrier. 50 feet above the water, 40, 30. The bow of Akagi filled the windscreen, a gray steel cliff topped with aircraft and gun crews. Japanese sailors could now see the American pilot's face. At the last possible second, Murray hauled back. Susie Q cleared the bow by less than a man's height and roared straight down the flight deck at stack level. In that instant, every Japanese gun crew on every ship around Akagi had the same problem: shoot at the American and risk hitting their own flagship. For 3 seconds that felt like a lifetime. A damaged, smoking B-26 owned the centerline of the First Air Fleet, and no one could fire a shot without risking Nagumo's ship.